This is how I replace the elastics on our Itty Bitti size nappies. So at the back there is a line of stitching that stops about here. That's at the end of that is where I start to unpick, and usually I would use a stitch ripper, but it keeps being stolen by Mr. 1-year-old. So steak knife works. If you pull it apart, you can kind of see the stitches. They're very thin, and once you've got a few of them, you can use scissors. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. You're also going to find, once you get a few stitches undone, there's going to be like webbing. See if I can... So all of that in there, and because it's serged, there's all the extra stitches that you can just cut through, but you're only going for the top layer to get it undone. Once you've got a hole about 2 fingers width, you should be able to pull it inside out. I find the best way is to get the opposite end and pull that through. So what you can actually see is when the elastics go, it's got the kind of plasticky elastic. It's not really plastic, but with the clear elastic, it gets holes in it from the sewing and it rips, and that's when your elastics start to go. So you can unpick all the zigzags and take it off. I did it on this side, or you can just leave them on. So I use black elastic. I find 9mm is the better width, and I prefer braided elastic because the clear elastic doesn't last as long. I leave it on the whole strip because you don't know if you're going to get exactly the same tension, but I will show you how I sew it. So this is just a basic sewing machine. I don't worry about pinning it. I just put the elastic up. I have it on a zigzag stitch. Do a couple of back stitches. Now the hardest bit is trying to keep in line, so I try to give it as straight of a line with the nappy as possible and pull as tight as I can. And off you go. I'd just like to mention I am not a sewer in the least. I do use black cotton because that's what I have, and I'm not worried about how it looks in the end. It doesn't look as tight as it does with the clear elastic sewn on, but it does fit just as well. And then you just snip the end of the elastic off. You can burn the end if you'd like to, but I don't worry about it. With this side, I don't worry about taking the clear elastic off if it's on there. If it's really broken, I will, but it helps to get the same tension. So I will show you what that is like. I also found that putting it POL side down stops it from getting caught. When I first started doing it, it would snag a lot because the back of the micro fleece would catch on the running dogs. I can't think of what they're called, but the bit that guides the material through. Hopefully on this angle you can actually see what I'm doing. My thread just broke. It keeps doing that with this last little bit. There's like an inch to go. So I just go back a little bit more and backstitch it and redo it. I don't use the best quality thread and it is quite thick. I have it on a looser tension. So maybe it happens with these. Maybe it's just me. I am a novice. And you can just trim everything up and flip it inside out. So I actually meant to turn it right side in. Put it the way it's meant to go on. So it is a little bit tricky. And I do have a little helper. So then you're left with this hole, which, because it's so small, it just meets up, and then you just run that through the sewing machine, usually with white thread because it'll not show up as well, but I'm not worried. So you turn it back onto a straight stitch, pretty tight, not a looser stitch, and I've lost my hole. There it is. I do start over the elastic just to make sure it's super tight. And then you're done. Brand new elastic.